Hello, everyone. So, I've been thinking this morning. That's not true. I've been thinking yesterday about how YouTube is like a really funny space where I see so many videos that are just like amazing quality, really cinematic or like valuable, um, providing value in ways of like really structured and useful videos. And then I think about mine, and I've done about 180 something videos, and that realistic are not the best quality. They don't provide like the typical value of others. Sometimes I think I can provide that typical value if I'm talking about topics like mental health, self care, etc. But a lot of the time it's just me talking about my life, and I sometimes think, well, that's really self centered, and why would anyone want to hear that? Um, and I think that's, in some ways, that's kind of fair because people want to be watching something that helps them. But I also think I'm feeding into that narrative a bit of you have to be creating value and you have to be thinking so much about your your viewer and your audience and why they would want to watch you. But then I'm kind of like, this is a space which I started, this channel I started on the 9th of January this year, and I sort of started off because I wanted an outlet. I wanted to do something creative, and I wanted to talk about things which would help me process things that I found interesting. So, like the therapy training, the mental health, the self care, also things that I think can help others. But I think at times I feel like I've lost my direction and it's become too almost like structured, not in the sense of like this is exactly how I'm going to do things, but more structured in the sense of like thinking that I have to have bigger ideas and providing value in the typical sense for all of you. Whereas I'm kind of like, if I'm focusing so much on that and how I can make videos a bit more like clear with that clarity and more informative, then I tend to feel like I'm losing myself a bit, and a bit like, well, is the real me coming through? And this is something that's really important to me, is identity, figuring out who I am and how I want to be with people and how I want to be with you, all of you as people that watch my videos. And I think how I want to be is myself and I want to be silly when I want to be silly. I want to be serious when I want to be serious, and I want to feel like I can just be however I want to be. And I think sometimes I've put this pressure on myself to feel like I need to talk about certain topics that are like, if they're mental health topics, talk about them in the way which is going to be like really useful, or at least I think going to be useful. But actually, I think I put pressure on myself to deliver that message in a certain way when actually, when I bring myself into the picture and my own experiences more, which I do still do, it feels more personal and it feels more me. And so I think throughout the journey, I wouldn't say I've ever made videos that are like your typical YouTube video, which is like polished. Well, typical in that space where it can be polished, it can be really informative and valuable and nice on the eye to watch. But I think for me to enjoy this to the fullest, I need to go back to the basics of just chatting to the camera, chatting about whatever I want to chat about, and just being authentic and being myself, and talking about things that are important to me and that can help you, because that is me being me. That's what I want to do. But not feeling any pressure to do that either, and knowing that I can just talk about my day and talk about, or like make a coffee on camera or make dinner or do whatever I want and give myself that freedom, which I sometimes take away from myself because no one else is doing it. And yeah, just be a bit free with it. And I get that by doing pretty basic thumbnails and basic titles, which I'm probably not going to draw many people in. And I think to be honest, if I'd learned more on how to optimize things in the like YouTube sense of growing the channel and getting loads of viewers, all this, like obviously my channel hypothetically could be bigger, but I'm glad that I've kept true to myself even when I felt like I've been straying more towards like wanting to grow the channel as well, which is obviously like a reasonable goal, and providing things which I think are useful for people, which I still want to do again, but this feels more me, where I can just have a chat and it feels more conversational. I think that's the route that I want to go down a bit more. As I say, I think I overthink a lot, and I think I do that kind of style anyway, but I think maybe I've become a bit rigid over the last few months and a bit less free with it. Yeah, I definitely feel like I have, and I want to come back to just chatting about anything. And as I say, I know that's not for everyone, and there's probably a lot of people that wouldn't really want to see that, but I think there's also going to be some of you that do just want to hear and watch another human talk about their life and talk about their journey to like being themselves, because I think hopefully that can encourage some of you to feel like you can be yourself, whether that's like on your own channel or creating a channel or whatever medium it is, or just in any environment that you're in life, realizing that you don't have to be a certain way, which I think we all fall victim to. We all try and we all put on personas, of course, but I think we often try and fit into different molds, when actually what makes us human and what makes us unique is bringing our own personality, our own quirks and characteristics and interests and values and all these things which belong to us. When we bring that to the table, that's what creates those meaningful relationships with others, and that's how you're going to get the most enjoyment from life. And it might mean that it can be difficult sometimes because you're putting yourself out of your comfort zone, which is ironic because you're being yourself, but actually like confronting the fact that you might not always feel like you're going to be accepted for being yourself in a group. It can be really difficult, but it can be really freeing when you realize that if other people aren't accepting that, then that's a reflection of them. And of course, sometimes we're not going to give our full personality, our full selves to people where we don't feel like it's going to be reflected back. We don't feel like they're going to like appreciate that as much. So maybe we want to hold back sometimes, and that's also okay. But knowing that you sort of owe it to yourself to almost like recognize that you do deserve to be yourself, and yourself is amazing. So I think I want this kind of series of day whatever or wherever I change the title, because I've changed it about 100 times, which is funny because I'm talking about titles being boring and not caring about them, but I guess old habits die hard. But I'm just trying to be free with this, and yeah, encourage all of you in a way where it doesn't feel like I'm directly providing value, except maybe when I'm talking about mental health stuff and trying to help people in that way. But actually just I'm more like bigger picture thing of if I can be myself here with all of you, then that might encourage you to try and like accept yourselves and be yourself more in situations if you feel like you're holding yourself back. Yeah. The caffeine hit me this morning. I made a filter coffee while I was calling my mum, which was an error because I was getting distracted. Not that my mum's more, I shouldn't have done it because I'm trying to talk to my mum and I can't multitask in that way. So I ended up, so I'm using the AeroPress. I ended up having the AeroPress, but not putting over a cup, which is what I did. I think one of the first times I did it, I forgot to actually have it over a cup. So when it's dripping through, it's got nowhere to go. So it was going on the chopping board. So that was a bit of a panic, but I also think I ground the coffee. I did grind the coffee too coarse. So I needed it to be finer, but never mind. But then I had a nice call with my mum, and I then made a coffee with the espresso machine using the same coffee as the filter. And this was my girlfriend because she likes a latte, and that actually came out really well. It was in the optimal pressure zone, whatever that even means. And it tasted really good, so I'm happy with that. And yeah, gonna go and see some family again in a bit, go for lunch, or get a packed lunch, I think, and go to a park or something, and then just chill and maybe apply to some more jobs. Felt a bit disheartened yesterday because there was one job, but there weren't many things that I was like, oh yeah, I'd like to do this. But there's time and there will be something, so got to keep my head up. Yeah, that's it from me. I hope you all have a lovely day and be kind to yourselves, be kind to others. Take care and be yourself.